welcome to the North Dakota Department of Public Instruction Student Support and Academic Enrichment Competitive Grant Opportunity webinar. I'm Robin Lang, an Assistant Director with the department, and we're excited to announce that the North Dakota Public Schools will now be able to apply for a 3-year tiered match funding grant featuring the BAR model. BAR is a model I had the opportunity to learn about a couple years ago, and most recently I've had the opportunity to work with and learn from the folks at BAR. They include Jennifer Fox, Christina Ritter, and Dick Unger, to name a few. I was and still am blown away not only by the research behind the model, but also the outcomes for students, staff, and the school system as a whole. BAR, Building Assets, Reducing Risks, is the nation's leading evidence-based school improvement model. BAR has been proven to increase student achievement and close gaps for students furthest from opportunity while improving school climate and culture. Sounds incredible, right? Let's take a deeper look. Next slide, please. Now, this is a competitive grant that'll focus on the implementation of a strength-based educational model that provides your school with a comprehensive approach to meeting the academic, social, and emotional needs of all students through the power of data and relationships. Schools receive 3 years of professional services per school or building, or per district if you're eligible for the rural pricing subscription. And we'll talk about that in a minute, and most of our schools will qualify for this option. The services you will receive is staff training, ongoing professional development, coaching, curriculum, tools and resources, and built-in mechanisms for networking, data reporting, and program sustainability. Now, the length of the grant requires a 3-year commitment. The commitment begins in 2022-2023 school year and goes through the 2024-2025 school year. BAR is a 24/7 support model, and they will be with you every step of the journey. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the investment for your district. The cost for BAR implementation services or a subscription is as follows. Year 1 would be $54,707. Year 2 and 3 are both $52,667. Now, the grant opportunity is structured as a tier matching funds grant. So if selected, the NDDPI grant would provide a total of $64,221 over the 3 years, and the district would provide $95,820 over that same 3-year grant period. And of course, this is per prescription. The goal is to build with sustainability in mind. The funding will follow the structure outlined on the slide and is also located within the grant materials. Now, we encourage districts to consider using that braided funding approach when funding any initiatives or programs for your strategic plan. With limited funds and great needs, schools must look for creative ways to maximize the impact of funding, avoid duplication, and promote better planning to improve overall outcomes. Braiding funds from different funding streams, such as your Title I, your Title II, your Title IV, just to name a few, to meet a common purpose, is a strategy to accomplish that. There is a braided funding handout in the application materials that I hope you find helpful. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the rural pricing subscription. If you are a rural district as identified by SRSA with a student population of 600 or less, and that is the majority of our schools, you will be eligible for one K-12 district-wide BAR subscription, regardless of the number of buildings to be served. The subscription will provide the district with one coach and the previously named services. If this is the case for you and you are implementing BAR at that district level, one subscription for both elementary and secondary grades, you will have an additional cost of $999 for that second set of curriculum, but that's just a one-time purchase. If you are not sure of your SRSA status, it is linked in the slide, or you could contact Lisa Johnson within our department and she will help you locate that information. Well, enough of this. It's time now to hear more about the BAR model and the amazing outcomes it has for your students, staff, school, or district. So, Christina, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Robin. As Robin said, I'm Christina Ritter. I am the Director of Strategic Initiatives at the BAR Center. And prior to my current role, I served as a BAR trainer and coach. I coached schools in California, Minnesota, and West Virginia. And before that, I've served in many capacities in the school system. I've been the Chief Academic Officer, Assistant Superintendent, elementary and high school principal, and a biology teacher. So thank you for joining us today and hearing more about BAR. BAR stands for Building Assets, Reducing Risks. It's a strength-based K-12 educational model that provides schools with a comprehensive approach to meeting the needs of the whole student through the power of data and relationships. Our organization was founded by an educator for educators. Pictured on the bottom left of the screen, you see our executive director, Angela Jerebick, and she founded this organization because she truly believed that students are capable of learning if we see who they are, and educators are incredibly talented if we provide a system where we can realize their needs. Currently, we are in 22 states working with 200 schools and serving over 150,000 students. And as Robin said, when our model is implemented with fidelity, research shows that we don't fail. Our model is also predicated on two pillars: positive intentional relationships and real-time relevant data. The three types of relationships that we help build and support are staff to staff, staff to student, and student to student. We also believe those relationships must be coupled with expectations. So therefore we train those through the BAR model on how to use qualitative and quantitative data to guide their decisions that impact the students and their level of success. Research shows that healthy relationships at school are one of the strongest predictors of student academic achievement and teacher career satisfaction. When staff feel supported and are engaged with one another, they are more likely to cultivate caring and supportive relationships with students. In this slide, you see our main focus is that BAR creates systemic change by putting structures and authentic human connections in place. We have two purposes in doing that. We want to create an enhanced educator experience, and as any school system does, we want to improve student academic outcomes. In the BAR model, we intentionally integrate the power of those relationships and data into what currently exists within your school system or within your school. In turn, all things become more effective and challenges become more solvable. Our tagline is same students, same teachers, better results. And in order to accomplish these better outcomes, teachers and staff need time and space to have meaningful conversations about their students, assess who needs support, and determine what interventions are working or not working. Students also need opportunities to engage with their teachers and build positive relationships. They also need skills to build positive relationships with other students. And lastly, principals and district office need ways to monitor what is working and not working within that school system or the building. On our next slide, you see that the BAR model is established as one of the most proven system-wide school improvement models within K-12 education. We have over 20 years of research and development. We are the most researched, most proven educational model. And at this time, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Dick.
Thanks, Christina. Hello, everybody. My name again is Dick Unger, and I am currently a project manager with BAR and have been serving as a mentor, a coach, and a trainer with our current BAR schools. I've coached schools in North Dakota, Minnesota, and Texas so far, and have enjoyed all those experiences. Before joining the bar team, a lot like Christine, I had a lot of different job titles. I served for 34 years in public education as a teacher, a coach, administrative dean, athletic director, assistant principal, before ending my career as the principal at Chanhassen High School, which is a suburban school of Minneapolis, but also a bar school. Over the next few slides, I'm going to be outlining 3 areas where the bar model has been proven to positively affect students and the staff. The first area, as you can see on the slide, is student academic outcomes. The quote on the slide is from Dr. Usselman, the Director of Equity and Inclusion in the Fargo Public School District. And her quote says, "The first step in educational equity is access to opportunity. BAR is unique in that it builds the academic muscles of students through a network of teachers, staff, and family. When BAR becomes how we do school, students have an even greater access to educational opportunity. Students are more likely to feel valued and connected, learn content and skills, and graduate on time, choice ready." I've had the good fortune of working with Fargo South High School this year, as they have been implementing the BAR model with their 9th grade students and staff, and they have done an unbelievable job and are currently reaping the benefits. So excited for those guys. What do these academic outcomes look like? As you look at this slide, you're going to see that they show the BAR model decreases the failure rate, improves math and reading scores, and reduces opportunity gaps. With regard to the decreasing the failure rate, on average, large urban schools see a 40% reduction in failure rate after 1 year of the BAR program, while smaller rural districts see a 29% reduction. When comparing math and reading scores, you can see that BAR students met projected growth at a higher percentage than non-BAR students. Additionally, the BAR model has met the evidence for ESSA requirements for strong evidence 4 times in reading and math impacts and 1 time in social emotional learning. And finally, equity is at the core of the BAR model, which has been shown to have especially powerful results in closing opportunity gaps for marginalized students. An independent study found that BAR helped narrow gaps in credits earned and passing rates for students of color and students from low-income families. BAR schools also see improvement in student behavior outcomes. Area 2 focuses on student behavior outcomes. The following quote is from Kelly Kalina, the BAR coordinator at Detroit Lakes High School, which is a rural school in northwestern Minnesota. And again, I've been fortunate to work with Kelly and his teams this year as they have begun their journey with the BAR implementation process and are doing great work. And Kelly has said, "Our teachers have created a good, positive environment for our students, and our students feel safe, and they feel more connected to the students in their classroom, and more importantly, to their teachers. And as I said, it's been really fun to watch the teachers learn about their students' lives beyond the school day, which has led to a better understanding those students as a whole student." Again, area 2, is focused on that student behavioral outcomes. And I just love the images on this slide. Compared to their peers, BAR students report increased expectations and support from their teachers. They also feel more deeply engaged in school. BAR teachers report significantly better student behavior than non-BAR teachers. As the graphic on the right show, because teachers have created more supportive relationships with their students and raised their expectations in rigor and maximize student engagement, student substance use, discipline incidents, and suicide ideation and attempts have decreased. As you can see along the bottom of the slide, BAR is included in the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, SAMHSA, National Registry of Evidence-Based Programs and Practices. BAR is also cited in the CASEL Guide as a select program, which is the top designation a program can earn for meeting or exceeding all of CASEL's criteria for high quality SEL programming and has met the evidence for ESSA requirements for social emotional learning. All right, we're down to the third area. We'll be talking about that, reviewing. We're going to be talking about teacher and school outcomes. The following quote is from Joe Held, and Joe is the bar coordinator at White Bear Lake Area High School in Minnesota. Joe says 100% of our bar teachers in a final end of the year survey said that this was one of the best things that they've had in their career. In fact, a staff member who I was talking to this morning, who has taught for 30 years, said that this has been the best year of his career, which I think speaks volumes. Speaking from my own experience as a principal at a bar school, I can honestly say that I heard similar things from members of my own staff. Many teachers shared the bar reminded them of why they got into education in the first place. All right. As these graphics on this slide illustrate, compared to their peers, teachers who are assigned to bar as a part of their rigorous study by the American Institutes of Research reported that they felt better supported by their schools and more confident in their work. They collaborated better with and had improved views of their colleagues and made better use of data to inform their instruction. Now I'm going to turn things back over to my friend Christina. So Christina, the ball is in your court.
Thank you, Dick. So as Dick went over those amazing outcomes and the research that supports them, on this slide, you see our mediation analysis that was developed by the American Institute of Research, or AIR. And you see here that it's a graphic that displays how BAR improves academic outcomes by changing teacher and student attitudes and behaviors. But what exactly does that mean? So generally speaking, in education, when we have our data shows that there is a gap in student achievement or in reading or math, for instance, we may turn to a different instructional method, or we may purchase a different curriculum. However, in our organization, student outcomes are achieved through first by let's look at the left side of the screen. We want to focus on teachers' attitudes and beliefs. So BAR teachers, and what does that mean when we change a teacher's attitude or belief about something? In our model, we show that through the use of our model, BAR teachers perceive their school and school administrators are more supportive and have a greater sense of self-efficacy. And teachers believe they can affect student learning, motivation, and behavior. When teachers' beliefs and attitudes change, then there's a change in their behavior. The behavioral changes include enhanced collaboration amongst teachers. Teachers use data to better understand and support students and build social-emotional skills. And teachers create positive, intentional relationships with students. When their behaviors change, that has an impact on student attitudes, and student attitudes then change. Students feel more supported by the adults, they feel more is expected of them, and students feel more engaged in school and excited about school. This shift in attitude leads to a shift in their behaviors. There's an increase in student attendance, a decrease in student behavioral issues, and an enhancement of student social emotional skills. Ultimately, that leads to improved outcomes. And as you can see on the slide, graduation rates increase, math and reading scores improve, the number of core credits earned increases, and there is a higher passing rate in core classes. As you can see on this slide, this really does encapsulate that BAR is about changing the climate and the culture of the school. So how exactly does this work? On this slide, you see, I hope that you're trying to visualize, okay, we've talked about data, we've given a broad stroke overview of a BAR. Now, what exactly would that look like in my school or in my school system? And so I'd like to go over our three main components of BAR that you see on this slide. In the middle circle, we really want to work to create space and time for students to build social emotional skills And the outer circle, we want to create a space, or the middle circle rather, we want to create a space and time for teachers to collaborate on the quantitative and qualitative data, identify and target student needs. So they're developing those staff to staff connections as well. And then on the outer circle, we want to effectively lead students that are of most high need to quality services that involve community resources. So in our model, these three main components include, in the very middle ring of the concentric circle is our social emotional curriculum, which I will go more in depth in a moment. Our block meeting structure, which is the next circle where teachers and staff meet to discuss the students' needs, and our risk review for the students that require more intense intervention and or community resources. Ideally, your school schedule would allow for time for core teachers to deliver the SEL lessons, a time for the teachers to meet for block meetings, and a time for identified school staff to meet for risk review. The school would also identify a bar coordinator to serve as a liaison between the bar center and the school. The school identified coordinator, so that's something identified within your school building, can be a teacher, an administrator, an intervention specialist, a counselor. It's up to the school, and it does not require a full-time FTE. On the next slide, I will go more in depth about each of the rings. So on this slide, you see that our I-time and U-time lessons. We know it's important for us, as we've mentioned, to know the whole student. And one of the ways we go about doing that is through our I-time and our U-time curriculum. These lessons help students acquire the skills they need in order to build those student-to-student relationships and build relationships with their teachers. Our elementary lessons are called U-times, and the secondary lessons for middle school and high school are called I-times. And as you see on the slide, in our lessons, students participate in 30-minute U-time lessons at the elementary level and 30-minute lessons at the 30-minute I-time lessons at the secondary level. They're different in that we want teachers to facilitate these lessons rather than it be a typical classroom lesson. So we want to make sure that students are engaged in dialoguing with one another and dialoguing with their teachers. We want to make sure that that teacher understands that through dialogue, we're helping build empathy, collaboration, and listening skills. We also, in our lessons, focus on building assets through such lessons as goal setting, leadership style, and communication. And we also focus on reducing risks. So there are lessons such as substance use at the secondary level, bullying, grief, and loss. There are 3 volumes with over 100 I-time lesson plans available. We have created virtual adaptations for each lesson, and all lessons are available online, electronically, and in print. U-times, which we're very excited about at the elementary, also include literacy components in both English and Spanish. Our next component, and this was if you think back to the concentric circles, so we started with an SEL curriculum, and then the outside circle from that is our team meeting structures. This is an opportunity for teachers and staff to provide them a time for they can come together and provide the right level of support for their students. The 3 meeting structures are called small block, big block, and risk review. And in our model, students are leveled to ensure that all students are discussed, not just those that need intervention. So our leveling system consists of a level 0 to a level 4. In the small block meeting, bar teachers discuss the level 0 or 1 student. So level 0 student is considered a thriving student, and a level 1 student needs just a small amount of intervention. So during small block meetings, those who would benefit from just a little bit more help from maybe one staff member, that's who, with a close connection, that's who we're going to discuss in small block meeting. In the big block meeting, the meeting is expanded to include specialists, interventionists, mental health specialists, the bar administrator, and we're going to focus on those level 2 students, those students who require the help of more than one person or a specialist. And in the risk review meetings, school administrators, social workers, counselors, and other professionals use the same process they would in a block meeting, but they're alongside existing processes, and they're going to identify and execute interventions that involve community supports for those level 3 students. This process is closely aligned to the MTSS in that it is ensuring that all students get the right level of support for their particular need. And now at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dick.
Thanks again, Christina. On this slide, you see a very talented and good-looking group of individuals, and these are our bar coaches. And bar coaching is something that we feel is one of the key components to our bar model. Our highly trained, experienced coaches serve as your direct connection to the bar center and act as integrators of the bar structure and programming. Excuse me. Bar coaching aims to ensure your educators feel completely supported from day one. Prior to the start of the school year, the bar coach will meet with school leaders to assess the school and develop goals together for the year. Once the school year starts, this relationship continues with weekly coaching calls, in-person visits to the school, and 24/7 access outside of structured meeting times. This collaboration and continuity helps to ensure success in your school. Put simply, the bar coach, guided by data, helps make the bar ecosystem work as it should, building high-touch teams and guiding educators to create the right environment for successful student outcomes. A big part of building a successful bar program is providing the proper training. If you look at this slide, it's laid out nicely, year 1, year 2, year 3. Implementation of the bar model is a 3-year process. Prior to the start of each year, your team will receive training to help them progress and to learn as a team. The first training is called bar implementation training. It's a 2-day training that provides team members kind of with the nuts and bolts of the program and prepares them to have a successful first year. Prior to the start of the second year, teams receive training on effective team meetings. So it's a time to reflect on how year 1 meetings went and try and improve as teams. And then also a training on addressing trauma through the bar model. And finally, year 3, prior to the start of that year, schools receive building resiliency through bar and community training and reducing substance use through the bar model for middle school and high school, and then reducing risky behaviors through bar for the elementary schools. Finally, you should know that when you join the bar family, you are joining a huge team. As Christina pointed out earlier, currently the bar programs in over 21 states, more than 200 schools, and through your coach, you will have access to ideas from many of those schools, plus an invitation to monthly PLCs that will connect you to more than 175 bar schools. The purpose of the PLC is to share ideas across the network. And here's a couple of quick examples of things that have been shared. A bar school in West Virginia started implementing Zoom parent-teacher conferences and noticed higher engagement with their families. A coordinator from California shared how she used Google Translate in text messaging to her families. The same holds true for bar principals. They are invited to PLCs as well. It provides them with an opportunity to meet with over 220 principals from around the country, discuss relevant topics, learn more, and discuss the fidelity of the bar model, how things are going at their school, provide a safe space where they can be vulnerable and no judgments are made, right? Because they're all learning together and sharing. And then they also share about best practices together. I'm an example of someone who benefited from the principal PLCs. As I stated earlier, I was a principal at a bar school, Chanhassen, Minnesota. Proud of that. Go Storm. My last year was the beginning of the COVID pandemic, and it was really helpful to be able to join a PLC with principals from around the country to give and to get ideas on how to handle that spring semester. It was an awesome group to be connected with during a really difficult time. And finally, everybody that's associated with the bar model has an awesome opportunity to meet and learn from members of the bar family at our national conference. This year, the event is being held in late April, so we're looking forward to that coming up at the Westin Rancho Mirage Resort and Spa in Palm Springs, California. Who wouldn't want to go to Palm Springs, California this time of the year, right? So interestingly, it's completely sold out with over 700 registered attendees, and we are really looking forward to a great time in a few weeks, getting together, sharing stories, helping to learn from one another. With all of that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to Robin.
Well, thank you, Dick, and thank you, Christina. And wow, just wow. I don't even know what to say or how to follow that. Thank you so much to the amazing staff at BAR and to all of you behind the scenes to make this opportunity happen for our North Dakota schools. We are very grateful. So let's talk some next steps. For some of you, you are ready to hop on board, and perhaps you find yourself in a position where you can implement BAR without the grant funds. That is great. They are ready. They're ready for your call, and we'll get you in contact with Jenny here in a few minutes. If you are interested in applying for the grant, the application is due June 1st, and the selected schools will be notified by June 10th. You can access all grant materials on the link provided on the screen. And of course, it'll be within our articles that we'll be sending out or have sent out as well. Right now, I would like to introduce a key BAR staff who will be our contact for this grant. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Jennifer Fox. Jenny.
Thanks, Robin. And thanks to everybody who is watching this recording. Thanks to my colleagues who did such a great job of walking people through the BAR model. But we understand that after listening to this, you're probably going to have more questions. Some common questions include, this all sounds really great. I can totally see how this would benefit my school. How do I get teacher buy-in? How do I get board buy-in? Where do I take this next? Who can I talk to? Can I talk to another BAR school? All of those things are things that I can help support you with as you take a look at this. Also, on that website page at the barcenter.org North Dakota grant page, we've given links to all of the application materials, and we've also given you some key language and things to consider as you're writing your application. I have noticed, and kudos to you, Robin, for making this one of the most simple grant applications that I've ever seen. There's basically just a few questions and not much content to provide. But again, I'm here and I'm ready to answer any questions, connect you with people, and help get you started. Really looking forward to meeting more schools, especially those in North Dakota. And with that, I think that concludes. Thanks again to my colleagues. Thanks to you, Robin. And we look forward to meeting everybody.